I'm Al Bartel, and I am the chairperson of the Equity in Governance Initiative. The reason why I am communicating to you is because we are at a critical junction with voter participation and voter turnout in our nation, our state, and our city. But particularly our nation, because we are in the middle, coming toward the end, of a presidential election that will alter the course of history and usher in a very different future depending on who gets elected. And what we're confronted with is a question about voter participation. What is at stake is the participation and the well-being and the economic wealth of the everyday citizen. There is a debate between the 1% of people who owns 80% of the resources and the accumulation of wealth, and the 99% who participate in everyday life just to make a living. It is critical that the 99% in particular turns out to vote, and it is especially critical, beyond measure, that the minority population, particularly the African American vote, turn out in epic proportions like never before. The policies that are being communicated by corporate stakeholders do not have our best interests at heart. Unless we have neighborhood leaders and community leaders and faith leaders and small business leaders at the forefront of the voter turnout strategy in our nation, then we will take a step back in history to having a controlled government rather than a government based on freedom and democracy. Now, that's a lot of big words to be thrown around on the camera, so let me say a little bit more about that. There was a legendary politician who once said, all politics is local. So even though this is a presidential election, the quality of the voter turnout is local. That means that you, the people on your street, the people in your neighborhood, the people in your community, whether you live in an urban setting, a suburban setting, or a rural setting, you must get involved in this election. It is not difficult to find out what the issues are, but what's more critical than ever is what is your interest in the issues. My communication to you is that the everyday citizen, for the most part, has been left out of the public policy process. That process is, for the most part, being dominated by lobbyists, special interest groups, and corporations. So there is no equity in governance because you, the 99%, do not have a seat at the table. The election this November makes it possible to lay the foundation for the 21st century and bring the balance of equity back into proportion. That can only happen with your participation. So some of us who understand that have formed an initiative called Equity in Governance. Equity means that equity is for the people and governance includes the people. In November, you have an opportunity to lay the foundation for that principle in the 21st century. If you consider that the person with your name tag on is the most important person in this nation, then we will be able to lay the foundation for equity in governance. We will be able to have the everyday citizen make a difference in cities, in counties, and states all over this nation because you participated in a presidential election. And the last point I want to make is this. The future is wide open and it comes toward us, but we must reach out and embrace it. The principles of equity and governance allow us to do that. It gives us a seat at the table with the corporations. It has us consider that government for the people and government including the people is the best principle that we can have as we move into the dawn of the 21st century. So I invite you to join the stakeholders of equity and governance and bring about a foundation that can lay an important step in the right direction for the future of the 21st century. I look forward to seeing you on the campaign trail between now and November for the greatest presidential election and lay the foundation for the future of the 21st century. My name is Al Bartell. I appreciate the opportunity to deliver to you this communication.